Late ETC, and this is going to be a video about how I would set up my Empire of Sun style list now after the ETC. It's not necessarily going to include a lot of Knights of the Sun Griffon, however it might. So I'm just looking into what I would be fielding this video, and I'll just shortly discuss also some aspects compared to my ETC list. So Empire of Sunstyle normally plays quite a static game. I don't really like that, so I take a bit of a different approach, maybe. So what I have here is the start of a setup. I have a Knight Commander who is a general with a horse and an Obsidian Rock with his Electoral Cavalry buddies. I thought that it was quite a nice unit to field, though with all the characters that means that you are gonna invest quite a lot of points into the cavalry. So if you lose the unit, then that is not good. However, if you combine these points, then you're at 850 points. If you lose it, it's a big hit. However, you can still recover from it. What do you have now? You have 15 Electoral Cavalry, you have a Knight Commander. Knight Commander doesn't do any damage at this point, so maybe we should give him something. However, the Electoral Cavalry will strike with cavalry picks. You mostly rely now on combat dress. So this Knight Commander, what should we give him? I don't know actually. I should give him a shield at least. I want him to stay cheap, so maybe just a lance. And then this is not optimal, obviously. However, do I want to spend 400 points on my Knight Commander to make him better? Don't think so. So magic resistance 2 on the unit. That dissuades some magic. We'll just see how the list evolves, but this is good for now. So we have Electoral Cavalry, we have heavy infantry that can support it. These heavy infantry are also otherwise quite useful. So this is a good setup to start with, maybe. What I did miss during my games, obviously, is a setup. Let's get this in. Long rifle with crossbow. I don't need anything else now. So it's a setup to hurt gigantic stuff, like a Ruinous Dictator. I don't like Ruinous Dictators, so I'm gonna put in a cannon. So the cannon, for me, it always was really a hit or miss piece. That is what a cannon does, right? But what I mostly mean by that is that I have had so many games where I misfire, and then I roll a 1 or a 2 on the misfire table, and then it's basically game over for the cannon. So what I didn't realize is that an Artificer also, it gives a +1 to hit for your cannon, cool, that's amazing. But it also gives you a reroll on the misfire table. And I think that is even bigger in your list building in general, because that means that your cannon quite reliably can always still continue shooting rather than having a 1 for your 2-hit roll on the first turn and not being able to shoot for the rest of the game. So to that extent, I want to build a bit of an aggressive list, and I want to have an Artificer with my cannon. The best unit to accompany this is a unit of light infantry, because they get the bonuses from the Artificer. I still have core points to spend, and long rifles pair quite well with hanging in the back and just shooting with a cannon, because the long rifles, they are strength 5, if I'm correct, strength 5 AP 2 or 3, with multiple wounds 2 against standard size. That's a weird combination maybe, but you can just still blink off some wounds somewhere. Going here for crossbows instead of handguns, I could maybe just go for handguns. If we need the 10 points later, then we'll see about it, because I am over core. It's not that much of a big deal. The long rifle is worth it in this case. It's 30 points, but that's definitely worth it, because then I end up with 2 long rifle shots, Otherwise, I might be tempted to put the light infantry somewhere else. I can also actually spend my core otherwise and then get a unit of rangers for my artificer. I never did that. Would it be worth it? It's 90 points out of special to increase the survivability of your artificer a little bit. You could also play a mage then in the rangers. It would be an option. If I find out that I would rather spend my core differently, then I could. I think this is a pretty decent core setup. So let's continue from this. So character-wise, I still want the BSB because I'm Empire. Prelate I don't really need, I think. However, we could go to the Flagellant route. Wizard we need at some point, and Inquisitor is also quite juicy. So this would be it for now. I think mortars are generally great, so I want one of that. Would it have helped in my games? Yes. Let me see. First game was against Mr. Gobber. Would it have changed anything? But then again, we're also playing a different list now. So that wouldn't really have changed that much, I think, because mortars and orcs don't really work that well. Then the second game that was against Infernal Dwarves, there it might have helped a bit against the Disciples of Lugar, because they are quite expensive per model, basically. Then the third game against Infernal Dwarves, that would have helped, because then I could have thinned down Historic Enforcers and just put wounds on characters also sometimes. Fourth game against Beast Herds would not have helped, but then again, this list in this setup, if you include artillery in your army, then you're going to be more vulnerable to Beast Herds. That's just how it is. Then fifth game against the Ogre Khans. I think he was also very fast, so you would need stuff to block it. But then again, we might have to go Flagellants here. The mortar would have been nice against ogres, just to also kill off some characters. And then the last game against Women's Swarm, it would have definitely helped. I mean, not only against the rats themselves, but also against the Ruinous Dictator, of course. But I like just having a 180 point mini cannon, basically, that can also still shoot up any infantry that is really annoying. Like Pathfinders, you just hit them on a 5+ at long range with a reroll. It's not that bad. So what else do we need? We have the core. We have some characters. We still need magic support, and we still need other stuff. So one thing that is quite cool in Empire is a unit of, I'm just going to put them in here, unit of riders with repeater guns. The armor is 30 points for a +1 on your armor save. So you go from a 5+ to a 4+. I don't think that's worth it. You can take a champion, doesn't really matter on this unit. So 10 riders with a repeater gun. So repeater gun gives you 3 shots, if I am right. I'm just gonna quickly look that one up, because that is that is quite influential here. So a repeater gun does give you 3 shots with range 24-inch, strength 4, AP 2 and unwieldy. Now the downside of riders is that you cannot give them an order. The upside of riders is that you don't have to worry about getting a guy to give them orders. So they normally hit on a 4+ with their repeater gun. And well, it's gonna stay a 4+. So divination is quite good with this unit, because then as a hereditary you can take Altered Sight from Cosmo and you can get the reroll to hit from divination. If we're gonna go this way, then I would have rather taken state militia in my core because of the improved mobility of my core, and also because altered side works really well on state militia. Because you get a +1 to hit for your shooting, you get a +1 to hit for your stun and shoot, and you get +2 offense with your paired weapons. So suddenly you become quite a potent unit then. 10 riders with repeater guns, I don't think it really fits into this army unless we go a certain direction. So do I want some more range damage output than I actually already have? So this is a bit of a turning point in your list decision. So we have a cannon and a mortar. This is good against gigantic stuff and good at thinning out masses. Do I want something that can take care of stuff that's in between? And do I want to invest in more artillery, or do I not want to do that? And I don't think I want to do that. So we don't need the riders with repeater gun. We are gonna take some rangers, I think. That's also because they are quite good with other stuff. Yeah, so if you're looking at all of this, there's a couple of options for the list now. So basically the 4 options I have is Imperial Guard, Knights of the Sun Griffin, Flagellants, or Steam Tank. I'll just go through all of these for a bit. So Imperial Guard, if I create Imperial Guard, I have to choose between a shield and a great weapon. And I can field a unit of 15 guys for 170 points. They are, if I take 40 of them, so that would be a full unit, they are 600 points, which is not that expensive. If I give them a great weapon though, they go to 675, which is more expensive. It's a decent unit. It's not mobile though. It's not mobile at all. Whilst the rest of the list is quite mobile. And sure, they do have bodyguard, but if you compare them against flagellants, so a full unit of flagellants would be 30, yeah, 30 flagellants. They would be 430 points. I'll just put these to 30 to give a better comparison. So basically, the Imperial Guard are a little bit more expensive. What is the advantage of flagellants over Imperial Guard? That is actually a good question. So flagellants have frenzy, they have battle focus, and resilience 4. But they have strength 3, so they go to strength 5. Imperial Guard have higher offensive defense, have no battle focus, have strength 6 with their great weapons, have resilience 3, and have a 4-up armor save instead of no armor at all. So I think Imperial Guard are better because they also don't have frenzy and they can still take a banner enchantment. Do I need 40 Imperial Guard in a unit? I don't think so. So between those I would go for the Imperial Guard. So then you delete this. Otherwise we have a steam tank. Do I want a steam tank? I'm just gonna disregard the Imperial Giant because we're looking at the ETC list. Steam tank, I can actually not fit it in together with my cannon and my mortar. The steam tank is a funny piece in Empire because it can just protect the flank. So I've run before a mixed arms Empire of Sun style list and included a steam tank just to protect one of my flanks. And that is maybe a bit of an issue with Imperial Guard, that if you get flanked, that you are a bit in deeper shit. Would I rather have another unit of 30 Imperial Guard or a steam tank? 30 Imperial Guard for me it is. Like the steam tank, it's a nice piece. People are too afraid of it. Because if you leave it alone, it's like a mini cannon and that's it. If you know how to play against it, it is not even that scary. Because the thing about the steam tank is that it cannot overrun, it cannot pursue. So if there's going to be 1 or 2 critical turns where you have to deal with the steam tank, and that in the sense that it's gonna probably protect the flank if it's up against the corner, like between the army of your opponent and the board edge in this very tight space. Then it's a perfect spot as an opponent to have steam tank. Because it can just move forward and backwards and that's it. And it can shoot its little cannon. If you cannot handle a steam tank cannon for 6 turns, then you should think about your list design, I think. Because the cannon hits on a 3+ normally, but if you move it's a 4+. If it's further than 18 inches, it's a 5+. And it's strength 7 with D3 wounds with clipped wings. Just gonna quickly look that up. So that would be D3 clipped wings, yes, with strength 7, AP6. So that does hurt, obviously, once it hits, but it's a piece that has to move and shoot and consider both in the same, with random movement. So if your opponent plays it well, it can be a pain in the ass. If he doesn't play it well, and you play well against it by just sacrificing basically 2 chaff units to go around it over the flank and just afterwards completely ignoring it, then it's going to be fine. Because in combat it does either 2d3 strength 7 hits or it does 3d3 strength 5 hits. That hurts some armies more than others. So you can also just lock it in combat with something cheap and then just leave it there. Yeah, so no steam tank for us. Still, it's a good piece in some lists, but I don't think we want to include it. So Imperial Guard is still cool. Characters are also still cool. Knights of the Sun Griffon are also still cool. So this is basically a bit of a toss-up between between Knights of the Sun Griffon and Imperial Guard. So 6 Knights of the Sun Griffon, 452 points, 30 Imperial Guard, 485 points. Imperial Guard can get orders, that is a bonus. It also means that you need more orders in your army, which is not even that bad, but it is something to consider. So if we go for Imperial Guard, I want at least 2 orders in my army. I basically want at least 1 order for every Imperial Guard unit I have. So we can go down the Imperial Guard route. This means that monsters are more of an issue because they stomp. Stomps are not nice. Oh, here I didn't give them lances, but normally you want to give them lances. So if we're gonna go for Imperial Guard, we are gonna go for a bit of a combat list, because I don't want to sit back and make my cannon and mortar do the work, because that's going to be quite a lot of work. I don't want to rely on range damage to kill the opponent, basically. So we will try around with Imperial Guard and see what we get. 30 Imperial Guard, would that be enough? Well, they have bodyguard, so as long as you put in 2 characters, basically, then it's going to be quite impossible for your opponent to get around them. So we're going to include 2 characters in there. And well, we're at 2410. We still need a magic phase. So what is really good in Imperial Guard is to get a wizard with light armor and Destiny's Call. So 4 up. You're gonna go in your Imperial Guard. Quite likely they're gonna be in horde formation because you just want to maximize your damage output, or they're gonna be 7 wide. Anyway, you're gonna have a corner where you can put your wizard with Destiny's Call, and then level wise we can still figure it out later. I fear that we're not gonna get an arcane engine in this list because, well, there's not a lot of targets for my opponent to shoot at with his cannon, except for my cannon. That is fine, as long as we don't put any high value pieces in the list. My opponent doesn't have that many good targets in that sense. So we have one wizard with Destiny's Call. I also want a marshal for an order, and basically also for the BSB. What is this BSB gonna get? So quite important for bodyguard is that you get black steel. So black steel gives you fear, and it gives you +2 armor if you're on foot. So you go to a 2-up armor save now. Is a 2-up armor save enough, or do you want a 1-up armor save? Are we gonna cast Word of Iron? Maybe we are. Word of Iron is quite juicy on Imperial Guard. Well, we can look at that later. I don't need a great weapon on my BSB. I don't need a lot of damage output from this guy, so I might as well give him a shield. Do I want to give him Weller's Ward or Shield of Voland? Well, Weller's Ward is kind of useless. Witchfire Guard, Aegis against magical attacks. Nah, he is gonna be in the middle of the fighting. He is quite important. Black Steel is +2 armor fear. So Witchfire Guard could be interesting. Let's go for that. Yeah, so now we have a BSB that can give out 1 order. If I want to buy another order, I can go for Great Tactician. Your BSB can give an order within 6 inches. So this is likely going to be on the Imperial Guard, and that's it. That's going to be support unit close by. I'm going to toss out the light infantry. Because, yeah, let's do this. The light infantry is going to go. We're going to put in another heavy infantry support unit, because then we're going to duplicate this unit. I can maybe give them shields to have 2 different units. Does that look better? I don't know. Great weapons are quite reliable in the sense that they do damage. A shield, great weapon is ideal for these guys because you have defense 4. Defense 4 is not the highest. No. Defense 4 is not the highest, but you're gonna either have no die enemy. Yeah, it's basically once you get to the magic that you can decide this also. So, for example, taking a great weapon means that you don't need a reroll to wound spell because you're gonna be wounding anyway. The reason I took out the light infantry is because at this moment I have 3 parent units and I want more support units that can countercharge. So we're gonna need something for the artificer unless we leave him in the backfield just on food. I can get a unit of rangers, that's just cheap. So that's 5 more wounds for the artificer to survive. If they die, that's not even a big deal. It's mostly a panic test, that's a bit annoying. But then the artificer can just take care of that. I'm just thinking what would happen if if I take the Crown of Autocracy, it doesn't really work, right? Crown of Autocracy is not even there. Okay. I was thinking maybe my order range becomes bigger when I take the Crown of Autocracy, but it doesn't, I believe. So then 2 units of Imperial Guard, we're gonna take another wizard. Yeah, this is maybe the time to think about what kind of wizard I want, what kind of magic I want. This guy, so we already spent Destiny's Call. I could give him Essence of Mithril. That is one option. The other option is that I give him Locket of Sana. And Locket of Sana is a big hard nope to all kinds of things. So that works quite well, probably. We are getting closer and tighter in points, basically. So 2 big blocks of Imperial Guard, 2 wizards to go in them to survive. Locket of Senna, is that enough? While your opponent can just refuse the duel, obviously. Unless there's characters in the unit, so you're gonna pair this up with a unit of your opponent that has characters in it, so you're gonna take a Marshal because you want another order, and then he's gonna have Kingslayer in some way. Marshal with Kingslayer, what should you give him? He is strength 4 base, strength 5 base, 3 attacks, or 4 attacks. I want this, I think, with Kingslayer. It's kind of funny. I'm just doing this quite quickly now, so that it also doesn't take endlessly. I think this is quite nice, so do I want to give him Imperial Seal? No. Maybe, actually. Plus 3 armor. So I go to a 2-up armor save, I cannot flee with the unit, and I get an extra discipline. I'm going to discipline 10 with my Marshal. That is not bad. Wow, this guy can have 200 points of magical equipment. I would like him to survive. This is an expensive Marshal. It's a funny thing to include, to be honest. Doesn't do that much, but it ensures that my Imperial Guard are not going anywhere. The alternative I have is, well, I want an order on this unit. The alternative I have is to say, I'll take Great Tactician on this guy. I'm gonna keep them close to each other. 2 orders is not enough, man. But in this case I can play an Inquisitor with a shield and Willow Sword and a repeater pistol with silver shots. This is a build that a lot of people miss, I feel. With a Hammer of Witches, and then we're there. So this Inquisitor now, what does he have? He has normally 2 attacks. He goes to 5 attacks through Hammer of Witches. He has plate armor with shield Willow Sword, so he goes to a 2-up armor save. And he has a repeater pistol with silver shots. What does silver shots do, you ask? So I gain lethal strike, multiple wounds D3, and reroll failed to wound rolls on my pistol. So repeater pistol has 3 shots, so I hit normally on 3+. Long range is going to be 4+, and the shot's going to be 5+, so that's not that good, obviously. However, it's going to be 1 hit on my turn, 1 hit on the stand and shoot, and I have reroll to wound on that with lethal strike D3 wounds. So any big kind of stuff that's in my line of sight or is trying to charge me is going to take like 3 wounds, 2 wounds, 3 wounds before they go in. And then I have a Hammer of Witches guy that can strike at it, so I can still give him a potion of swiftness. And actually this other Destiny's Call guy, we can give him potion of strength. Then I do have my 2 characters that are gonna go in the 2nd unit of Imperial Guard. I believe the Inquisitor is actually fearless, so then I would have discipline 9 from the Inquisitor. Yes, fearless. He's not a leader. He's discipline 8. Never mind. Yeah, I think this is quite good because I prefer the silver shots over the Blessed Steel upgrade for the Inquisitor. Yeah, so we have this. Okay, we have 500 points to spend. We have 500 points left in characters. So what I could do is upgrade my magic a bit, because I need a bit of a better magic phase. So how much magic would be sufficient? Do I want 1 master? Do I want... I think the bare minimum is 2 adepts. What should I do with this? Wizard Apprentice is not that good. However, Wizard Apprentice, Locket of Sana, this tons of characters. Do I want to invest more in this guy? I can also say that this guy becomes a Wizard Master. That is more expensive than 2 adepts. I will channel 1 in that case. That is not a lot, but that could be sufficient. I am relying on my Imperial Guard right now to do a lot of work. My cavalry commander is gonna charge away, quite likely. Discipline 8 is quite low for my Imperial Guard. So that is maybe a problem. But if I can, I'm gonna play them quite close then. I need another Marshal. So I need another Marshal, or I need no die enemy or more divination. Is divination useful to the rest? Yes, because I have great weapons. I don't have a prelate, so reroll to hit is quite nice. Extra offense is quite nice. So actually this guy can become a Wizard Master on divination. Do I have enough then? Do I have what I need to get? So Wizard Master on divination would give me no die enemy, stars align, scrying. Scrying is also good because I don't have an Arcane Engine. I think this is quite okay. Yeah, so we now have a magic phase that I don't really take that much out of. 200 points left. Points become tight, so I do want another Marshal. I can put him on a Pegasus with a shield and a lance. Does that fit? Jesus. Because this is like a nice piece to include still. Pegasus gives you +1 armor, so I go to 3 attacks. With my lance, I have a Pegasus that stomps a bit. So I'm 5 points over in characters, but it doesn't really matter too much. I can just take away something somewhere. Yeah, you do want the lance on this guy. Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it there. What else can we do in Knight Commander and Young Griffon otherwise? 215 without any equipment. Or a Knight Commander on a horse. No, we don't get an order from that. So, and we don't have any banners yet on the Imperial Guard. So one of them is gonna get the Banner of Unity, I think, for the order stuff. I can give an order to a single support unit. Bull. I want orders on my parent units. Oh yes. Commanding presence extra, no. Banner of the Relentless would be fun. However, only one. So I can use an order on the other one to give them March 12, and then I can move up quite quickly. Banner of Discipline I don't need because I'm going to be in BSB. Wait. Panic tests. BSB is part and I automatically pass panic tests. Stalker Standard is good. I need 1 Stalkers in your list. I already put it on the cavalry, right? Yes, so I don't need it. Because I would prefer the cavalry to be in ruins and stuff like that. So yeah, Banner of Speed I don't need, Running Banner I don't need, Household I don't need. Relentless is nice. Yeah, Relentless is the best. Double Relentless, and then this guy is gonna go out. And the Marshal's gonna get an extra order. Oh, it already has. 125 points left. Chaff. Chaff. Fighters are 155. You would have to get 30 points somewhere. One of these guys is not exactly 30 points. It's 21. 21. Unit of chaff would be nice. So depending on how much range pressure your opponent has, you can play your Artificer alone or in the Imperial ranges in the back. It's quite a lot of commitment, so I can just use Lisa's chaff actually and get another unit. 35 points left. We are gonna end up with 2 orders in the list because the extra order is gonna be too expensive. But it's quite likely that only one of the 2 Imperial Guard units is gonna be in combat at the same time. So this would be the alternative list, more or less. I have 35 points left, so I can gear out my Knight Commander a bit more. Lance enchantment or a cavalry pick with something. No. Lance with no. Plate armor, no. Artifacts, no. Can get a reroll failed charge rolls. Funny, but not necessary, to be honest. So right now the electoral cavalry are quite likely going to be on the flank somewhere. I'm just gonna throw away my general with Empire. It doesn't sound as good as my Knights of the Sun Griffin list, to be honest. But it could still work quite well. If I can get an extra channel, that would be nice. So we can take away the the Willow Sword. Potion of Swiftness maybe, because this guy is more like anti-monster. A bit of anti-character as well. But if we do this, then I can take a Talisman of the Void on Locket of Sana guy. No, I can't. This guy. Yes. Talisman of the Void. There we go. Could also change out this wizard for a different character actually, to be honest. So, like an Inquisitor with the Locket of Sana. Cheeky. So delete this Inquisitor. Locket of Sana. There we go. And then we'll give him paired weapons. That's funny. So the enemy from this is gonna get the stat line with 2 attacks of you keep your offensive and defensive actually. So 2 attacks, strength 4, AP 1. Agility 4. That is quite crap. So 2 attacks. Do I need any? No, this is funny. 200 points Inquisitor. I have 10 points left now. And I tossed out a spell to make my Locket of Sana better. That's quite good now. I did toss out a spell. So I can remove the Talisman of the Void, I can get a Crown of the Wizard King on my Knight Commander or Artificer. Knight Commander. Or, yeah. Crown of the Wizard King, do I need it? I have Divination, so it gives me extra range on everything. So that is quite juicy, to be honest. This can be paired with this guy. So this guy doesn't. This guy cannot. Because it has to be a different wizard to get the boost. Yeah, so this Locket of Sana guy doesn't seem worth it. Because the other wizard also increases my range on my spells. better spells for everyone. Yeah, 495 points, you can get something for 5 points, and that would be it. So, just in retrospect, what we have is this. Took such a long time. So I started with a Knight Commander with his cavalry buddies, and I think this is decent enough to grind out a lot of enemy units. You're not going to lose combat by that much if you get into a tricky situation with your divination magic or with your martial. You can give minimized discipline to the units and just continue grinding. 3 heavy infantry support units to support the cavalry, the Imperial Guard. The Imperial Guard have great weapons because they are the striking force basically. And I have 2 units because I want to have 2 units basically. Because I often run into armies where it's like, yeah, I have like this big combat break, and I have some support stuff, and I have a small combat thing, and I found that it works quite a bit better if you just go for the grind in 9 days in general. If you have models that, sure, your opponent can deal 5 wounds to your unit, you don't care. It's just reliable. So Imperial Guard with minimized discipline through divination or through the orders. With a BSB, that is quite reliable. Sure, you're gonna lose some characters somewhere, but I think this would be good. We have a Wisdom Master on divination for the reroll to hit and for no die enemy and for scrying. And yeah, and not really for damage output to like unerring striker stuff, because we have a cannon and a mortar for that, together with an inquisitor with a repeater pistol, and still an artificer with long rifle. Yeah, and otherwise we have to be B with Witchfire Guard, Black Steel, Great Taxation. That's good. Yeah, this is. I think a lot of people would expect you to sit back a bit and play a bit gunliney. However, with this, you can also play quite aggressively, to be honest, because of the body count of the Imperial Guard. Because then you can just get stuck in combat, and you're not gonna move, basically. As long as you have 2 characters in each of the units, it's quite difficult for the opponent to take out both. So the good approach for them would be to kill the character that is not the wizard, I think, because then your discipline drops harder. However, the Inquisitor only has discipline 8. So discipline 8 minimized with a reroll is basically also what Saurian Ancients relies on for everything, so that's just fine. If you counter in fear, then it's going to be a bit more harsh, but you have 1 unit that is immune to fear and the other is not. The cavalry is also immune to fear, by the way. I think this would be a nice list to just try around. Is it better than Knights of the Sun Griffin? I don't think so. I don't think so. But this is basically what you get if you don't want to overcommit to the electoral cavalry, and if you do have units that can take some characters in there. So Knights of the Sun Griffin, they're not that tolerant towards characters for their inclusion in the unit. Yeah, so it's a bit longer video than I thought, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. So thank you for watching, and I'll hope to see you the next time.